Alright, so welcome to a brand new video. I've got a very special treat for you today since I'm going to be showing you how I set up a Facebook advertising campaign from start to finish. So, before I get into it, one thing I like to answer is why you should listen to me, since obviously there's so many YouTubers out there who are very qualified that you should listen to and follow their strategy. The reason why you should listen to what I say is these are the kind of returns that I'm getting for the clients that I'm working with. So this is specifically for a dog clothing brand. In previous videos, I've actually gone over the actual campaign setup, which I'm going to be showing you in this video. But yeah, so you can see that in this campaign, I spent 3 grand. I made back 10 grand, well, almost 11 grand, operating at a 3.5 times return. And then, of course, if I come over here, I come over here, and then let me just go to over here. I've got quite a few clients that I'm running advertising for. And then this is another client, an e-commerce brand, selling not dog clothes, but just selling clothes. In another video, I'm going to go into detail about this client and how we're generating phenomenal returns. So you can clearly see here that this client has currently spent roughly around about 500 over here. Let me just go to here so the results are better. So what I want to do is I want to just come over here. I want to come over here, and then once my computer finally decides that it wants to load, unfortunately it's not loading. But yeah, so what it is a clothing brand specifically for a famous musician, and I've basically created a campaign for this client, and the campaign is doing really, really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how I set up these campaigns, so you can do it for yourself for your own e-commerce brand, or if you're doing this on behalf of a client, you can do this for your client's e-commerce brand as well. So before I get into it, again, I just wanted to show you exactly the returns that we're getting between these two campaigns. One is for a cold audience and the other one is for a retargeting audience. So if we look over here, so far they spent close to 500 and they made back close to 3 grand. You're looking at a 6 times return on the client's investment. So that's the reason why you should listen to me today, especially the campaign structure that I'm going to show you right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the client over here, and then first things first, this is the product that we are going to be selling. It's an Ethiopian Bible study guide, and it's been selling really, really well on Amazon. And one thing, if you have sold any products on Amazon, you will notice that Amazon doesn't allow you to communicate with your customer list. Amazon doesn't really allow you to give you, should I say, flexibility over the customer journey. What I mean by that is, yes, you can sell a product through Amazon. However, Amazon doesn't really give you the ability to add upsells. So, for example, if you're selling a Bible study guide, one of the things that I would recommend to the client, as a little extra tip, is why don't you offer some sort of study classes, Bible study classes, which people can pay to actually study the Ethiopian Bible they've just bought. And you can obviously charge $50 a month, $100 a month, or however much you want to charge. Now, Amazon doesn't give you that flexibility, which is the reason why he's built a custom Shopify store over here, which he wants my help in terms of trying to sell this as well as, if not better, in comparison to the Amazon store. So now that provides you the product that we're selling, it's just this is the only product that we're selling. Now let's get straight into it. So the client has sent me the creatives over here. So these are the creatives that I'm going to be using. So the first thing that I like to do with a client is I'm going to come over here, and then I'm just going to go to the columns. So the first thing I like to do is I want to edit the columns, just to make sure that I've got the right columns so that I know I'm tracking the right numbers. So I'm going to come over here to customize columns. And apologies if my computer's a bit slow, my internet's a bit slow overall, but I'll try my best. So the first thing, these are the columns that I like to focus on. So let me just come over here. Let me remove this. So number one would be amount spent. Let me just remove this. Let me remove this. So I want to keep impressions. I want to keep reach. Results I want to keep. Budget I want to keep. So this I'm going to remove. Bid strategy is basically all the same bid strategy, so I'm going to remove that. Actions I'm going to remove. And then yeah, so now number one, I'm going to add in the CPM, the cost per 1,000 impression, which gives me an idea of how much it costs to reach 1,000 people. Then of course number two is going to be link clicks. I'm just going to put links, and then it's going to come up with all the other information I need. And then I like to structure it this way, and then I will explain a little bit later, or if I don't have enough time, in another video. So link clicks over here, then also click through rate over here, and then also where is the CPC, the cost per link click. So this will allow me to track how many people have clicked on the ad, the cost to get someone to click on the ad, and also how many people clicked on the ad, essentially divided by the impressions times by 100 to give it as a percentage. So the quality ranking, I like to keep that over here. Now this, I want to move it over here, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So I'm not too sure if there's any add to, well, not that I'm not too sure, there should be. So I'm going to add in the add to carts. So this is going to tell me how many people have actually added the product to their basket. So let me just move this over here. Excellent. And then amount spend, move over here. Then the next step is initiate checkout. Now what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to create a separate video, because this is going to take me too long, on exactly how the reason why I structure my campaign, the reason why I structure the columns this way, and it's because of the strategy that I actually use. So stay tuned for that. And the next would be the purchase value, because of course the goal here is to generate sales. So we want the return on investment, and we want the purchase value. So in terms of the ROAS, I'm going to move this over here, and then make sure it's above amount spent. And then in terms of the purchase value, I'm going to move this over here, and then I'm going to put the cost per result over here, and then I'm going to put the amount spent. So obviously we have the cost per result. So this is going to tell you how much is it going to cost to get a sale, how much is it going to cost to get a customer. And then the purchase value is going to tell you exactly how much revenue has been generated, and the amount spent will instantly tell me how much has been spent. So I can see straight away how much money has been spent and how much money have we made, and whether it's profitable or not profitable. And then we have the ROAS, initiate checkout, add to carts, CPCs, CTR, link clicks, reach, impressions, etc. We have everything that I need in the right order that I like it. Then I click on to save, and then I'll save this as ads. Obviously you can save it as whatever you prefer, but I like to save it as ads. And then boom, this is just how I like it, and this is how I like to operate. So again, I'm not going to waste too much time. It's been 8 minutes already. Apologies if I'm looking over there, it's because I have two screens. So this is the screen I'm going to be using. So let's get straight into it. So the first thing that I would like to do, and my apologies, the first thing that you should do is make sure that the pixel is actually tracking correctly, specifically on the website. So make sure that the add to carts, the initiate checkout, and the purchase conversion rate is being tracked on the website. So what we have over here is we can clearly see over here that this is the pixel, and then we can see that the page view, add to cart, there's no initiate check. Oh, there is initiate checkout. My apologies. And we have purchases. The last event has been today. This one was 6 hours ago. So this is how we know that it's working. And then if we come over here, we come to the website. I'm gonna come over here, paste it over here. Then it's gonna go straight to the website that we are gonna be sending traffic to, which is this one. Now I also have a Meta Pixel helper. Now, for some reason, it's not tracking on the website, but you can clearly see that it works. So when I go back to here, when I go to test events, this is one thing I recommend that you do. You come over here, and then you just type and then you want to test events, and you want to make sure that you go through the entire customer journey. So, for example, let's just say we decide to click on this particular product, we decide to add to cart, and then each time you do this, an event should appear. Now, the events are not appearing over here, but I'm still going to run the ads anyway because I can see that the events are working. And yeah, so that's why I'm going to continue. But you can clearly see that we've got the page view, we've got the add to cart, we've got the initial checkout, and we've got the purchase. And those are the Facebook pixel events that I'm specifically looking for the marketing for this client. So now that that's done, we've got the right columns. Yep, and yeah, so let's begin. So first things first, I go to create, and then I'm going to name it. So this is how I like to name it. So yeah, my apologies, I'm going a bit too fast. So you have all these different options. Now, as an e-commerce business owner, what you want is sales, what you want is money, what you want is customers. So if that's what you want, 10 times out of 10, you click on sales. Don't click on any of these because that's not necessary. If you want to make money online with your e-commerce store, with your e-commerce products, whether physical or digital, then I recommend you optimize for sales and make sure that the pixel is working, and make sure you test the pixel event to double check that it's working before you go ahead. So then how I like to call it code. There we go. Code space sales, and then what is the product? So we have the Ethiopian Bible. So I'm just going to call it Ethiopian Bible. So there we go. And then now a lot of people like to focus on campaign budgets. I prefer ad set budget. I just find it more effective for a brand new, well, not really a brand new pixel, but you get the idea, for a fairly new product. And then that's all I like to do to begin with. Now, my first audience is always going to be a broad audience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in broad in the ad set name. And if you don't know what broad means, it means there's not going to be any targeting at all. I'm going to leave it 100% to Facebook. My apologies. I was just wondering why has this appeared. I'm going to leave it 100% to Facebook to essentially pick out who are the ideal customers for this product. So that's why one audience that I love to test is a broad audience. So then let me come over here, and then what we're going to be optimizing for is for the purchase conversion events. Because again, if you want sales, you want to make money, optimize for purchases. I know that a lot of e-commerce gurus or YouTubers will give you, oh, you should optimize for add to carts, you should optimize for initial checkouts. I disagree, only because Facebook is so sophisticated now, meaning it's so smart that it's able to generate you customers from day one. So that's why I like to focus on purchase to begin with, all the time, every time, no matter what. So when we come over here, languages, I want to make sure this is in English. All. Now, minimum age, obviously it's a Bible, so I'm just going to leave it probably 18 plus. I think that should be fine. 18 to 65, all genders. Obviously, it's a broad audience, that means we're not going to have any targeting. I think what I'm going to do is, because it's not that expensive, I'm going to leave it like that, and then I'm going to let Facebook decide the customers. But what I'm definitely going to edit is the placement. Let me come over here, because we're not really going to get any customers from the Facebook Messenger. There's no point wasting money on that placement. The threads, I haven't managed to see it effective at the moment. Maybe you have, and if you have, fantastic. But for me, I haven't. Obviously, audience network, I haven't managed to see that as effective either. So I like to focus on Facebook and Instagram, and then I'm going to remove a couple of these which I've never generated sales in the past 6 years of running advertising for myself and also for clients. I've never managed to generate any revenue from this. Now, ads on Reels, I have managed to generate revenue from that, so I'm going to leave that on. And then stories, Facebook reel is fine, profile reels, no. Messenger stories, that's off, stories, that's fine. And then Facebook notification, just a complete waste of money. And then Business Explore, once in a while, but it's rare. It's rare. So I'm going to turn that off. Then I'm going to turn Instagram Explore off as well, unless it wants to tick it off. So let me just turn this one off. Facebook Marketplace. I have generated sales from there before, but just for this instance, I'm going to turn it off. And also the rights column, I'm going to turn that off as well because I don't find it to be that effective as it used to be, especially because over 80% of users, customers, are going to be on mobile and not on desktop. So let me remove this, and also let me remove this. And those are the placements. You can pause this video whenever you like, that I like to optimize for whenever I'm running ads for a new client. So that's basically all I do from an ad set level perspective, specifically on a broad campaign. So now, since the client has sent us some creatives we can use, so yeah, let me just start downloading them. If it wants to download, that is. There we go. Excellent. So I'm just going to start off with this. Authenticate. What kind of authentication is it looking for? Okay, email. Right. I'll do that after, since it means I have to log into the email. So I'm just going to do that after. What I'm going to do though, I'm going to set up the ads for you guys, and then once I've done, I'll do the confirmation after. So yeah, so basically I won't publish it until I've confirmed it, but the video will end by then. Right, so now we're going to need the website URL. So let me just come over here, let me come over here, and then this is the URL we are going to be using. Let me come back to here, and then perfect. And then put the URL here, put the URL over here. And then also I like to put in UTM parameters. So let me just go over here, and then let me take this, copy it, and before I remove it, make sure it's actually been copied correctly. Excellent. So yeah, UTM parameters, so we can see exactly which ads and ad set, my apologies, which ads and ad sets are generating the actual sales. And then we will do a catalog. I have found catalogs to be effective. So it's been 18 minutes already. That's perfectly fine. So let me just come over here. So we're going to start with an image ad to begin with. Now I don't believe the client is running any offers at the moment. So for that reason, if I go to the website, save an extra 10% off. Okay, so I guess it's just 10%, 33%. So if I change this to US, okay. So if I come over here, I just wanted to double check. So 33% off, that's the promotion. So let me just come over here. I'm just going to put it over here. So 33% off, automatic discount. That's just the offer. And then, yeah. So they got the bundle, they got this, they got that. That's fine. Okay, so hopefully, there we go. Whilst I was doing that, it's over here. And then let me just move this like that. Let me click on continue, and then let me change this to shop now, because obviously we're selling an actual physical product, so that's why we want to focus on shop now. And then now in terms of the actual copy, What I like to use is ChatGPT, and ChatGPT has created copy that has generated me thousands upon thousands and tens of thousands of dollars in profit for my clients, and that's the reason why. So what I like to do is open up a new chat, and then I will just basically say I'm running Facebook ads for a client. They are selling, and let me come over here, guide. Here is the product on Amazon. So just get the Amazon link. So over here, could you write the Facebook ad copy for this? So I like to do two primary text, two headlines. This is the offer. Obviously my grammar isn't the best, but it's AI. 33% automatic discount, no promo code needed, and free shipping too. And then click on enter, and then I just like ChatGPT to write me the advertising copy for this. Now obviously the only thing that's missing is emojis, so please add emojis where necessary. Wonderful. Excellent. That's perfect. So we've got two primary text, and then I'm just scanning it. Yep, looks fabulous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to go over here. That's the first one. Let me come over here. And then that's the next one. Let me just bring that over here. And then let me just put a call to action, click shop now to get 33% off. Applied automatically at checkout. And then click shop now to enjoy 33% off. Applied. That's wonderful. And then I'm going to add one more, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use social proof. So I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to, does it let you know how many has been sold? So as you can see, this is very raw. So I'm literally showing you exactly how I build a campaign from scratch. So let me see. Is there a way for me to find out how many of these Bibles have been sold? So then I asked ChatGPT. So yes, I just remembered he sent me a customer list of 4,500 Amazon buyers. So make me one more copy variation focused on the social proof elements. For example, you know, 4,500 plus copies already sold worldwide, etc. Yeah. And is it ranked number one on Amazon as well? Is it an Amazon bestseller? I don't think it is. There we go. Because I find using social proof is very powerful. So that's the reason why I've took the extra few minutes in order to add this in, because it's very effective form of marketing. If you've got social proof, then I recommend that you use it. And then click shop now to enjoy. Excellente. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the headline. So this one's going to be one. This one's going to be the other one. And then this one's going to be the final one. And then done. And then what this allows Facebook is enough copy, enough. And if you don't understand what copy is, it's just the words you use to sell the product of your advertisement, product or service, or is the words you use to create an action in the customer's mind or the reader's mind or the audience or whoever is on the other side of the advertisement. What is the action that you want them to take? So copy is the words you use to create that action. So that's all that means. If you didn't know, now you do know. So that's why I like to give three different copy variations. Obviously, they are very similar, except from the last one. So one, I always love to use social proof. If there is any social proof, if there isn't, don't worry about it. But that's how I create my copy. I use AI, like ChatGPT, like that. It's very effective. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this image ad. Just image ad because that's the first image ad. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate how many creatives do we have. So that looks very similar. So I'm going to use this one. And then I'm going to use. So unfortunately, I won't really be able to create a catalog with this, but that's fine. So I'm just going to create one more. And then this one's just right in your face, isn't it? That one's better. So I think I'm going to create a couple more. So two more. And then I'm going to create one ad variation that is very effective. And I'll show you what that is. So three. So then in total, we have four ads, specifically image ads. Now, of course, I would recommend to the clients that we do have videos, because videos is effective, but using images is also effective as well. So yeah, and then this is going to be image number two. So then obviously what I've done is I've decided to duplicate it so that I can duplicate it so that I don't have to do it again from scratch, which is going to be very irritating to do. So let me come over here and then let me add image. And then yeah, so this is completely raw, unedited, sorry. So you basically get to see exactly how I set up the campaigns step by step. So I'll come over here. because a lot of YouTubers will do this in 10 minutes, which is great. But you also get to see exactly how I like to position the how I like to position the the advertisements over here. So unfortunately, it's not allowing me to crop. So the client does need to send a 9 by 10, 9 by 16 ratio version. But even if the client doesn't, that's perfectly fine. It's not going to be enough not to make sales. So that's what we're going to continue over here. So that's number two done, and then we're going to have number three. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video once I've done with this so that I can verify this. And then I'm going to show you the last and final part. So this is going to be the third image. So let me just come over here. Let me click on add media. So add image. Let me come over here. Let me add the final image. Over here. And has he made a variation? No. Yeah. The reason why I'm not really going to test these ones is because they're not good enough for copy. They're not good enough as a creative for an advertisement, in my opinion, based on my 6 years of experience doing this for clients. So this is going to be the last image, and then I'm going to make one more variation that's just going to be testimonial based. So I'm not even going to zoom in because it's not really going to look great zoomed in. And then that's done. Fabulous. And then last but not least, I found these ads to be very effective. Now, it doesn't work all the time, but again, I have found it to be very effective. So let me just go over here. Let me just put in testimonial. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to ChatGPT, and then now for the final ad copy variant will be a Amazon testimonial. So could you Amazon reviews and pick since it's sorry, I've got my computer there. Since it's in the US also. Um, for the three primary text only. And then we just wait. Now, of course, I can do this myself. However, using AI is a lot faster. So, yeah. So as you can see over here, so these are the three testimonials. So I found testimonials to be very effective. So that's why I'm gonna be using it. Done. That's the first one. Let me do the second one. And then done. Oopsie daisy, has my computer frozen. That's not the best, is it? And then excellent. And then last but not least, let me come over here. Then paste this over here. Do this. Excellent. And then I'm going to keep the headlines the same. So what I'm doing is I'm testing the testimonials over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this video so I can verify this, and then I'm going to do the targeting, and then we're going to leave it there. So yeah, let me just pause it. All right, so the verification has now been done, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and then now this is where we're going to be creating different audiences that Meta can basically show the ads to for the purpose of testing. So let me just quickly duplicate this. So one audience is going to be a lookalike audience that we're going to create. So I'm going to do 1% purchase LLA. So I'm going to have a broad, and then I'm going to have a couple of lookalike audiences, and then I'm going to have a couple of interest, and then that's basically how I do my setup. So obviously I'm going to keep the budget the same, and then let me go to over here. So settings, and then we're going to come over here to include a custom audience, and then let me just click on create new custom, and then we want to use, I don't think there's enough website data for a purchase. There's not enough purchase because Meta recommends that you have 100 purchases. But yeah, so here's the mailing list, and then we just want to use no label. So I'm going to put the Holy Press customer list. Wonderful. Let me just come over here. Let's get into the 37 minutes. Let me come over here. Don't worry about that. All we're looking for is the email. So United States, which I'll actually look into that, but I can see that they've come from the US. So yeah, I'm just going to be focusing on the US. And then what I want to do now is I'm going to create a lookalike audience from this. So what I want to do is region United States. That's where I want to prioritize the targeting. Over here, and then we're going to do a 1% lookalike, which all that means is Meta or Facebook, whichever you prefer, is going to find audiences very similar to this current audience that we've just uploaded from the customer list. And then let me just go down, since we want to remove this, and then we have the 1% lookalike over here. So then next what I want to do is I want to quickly duplicate it again, sorry, and then I'm going to do a 2% lookalike. So I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to do a 2% lookalike. Let me just remove this. Let me come over here, and then let me just remove this. So we're approaching the 40-minute mark. So I want to get this video wrapped and done shortly. Let me come over here. I'm going to build a lookalike audience of the customer list, which should be I see as multiple. Oh no, that's full. This so the Hollywood Press. and then United States, it already knows. Then we're just going to do a 2% over here. Excellent. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a couple of more ad sets, and this is going to be interest. So duplicate, sorry, and then two more. Let me just duplicate it, and then the client over here sent me interest. So Ethiopian Bible, Book of Jubilees. Okay, we can't. This is not running advertisements on Google, so we can't specifically target those keywords. So I will target, Jesus Christ. I'll target Christianity, those kind of interests, faith, religion, spirituality, etc. You get the idea. So let me just come over here, and then let me go to detailed targeting. So let's start with the obvious one, Jesus Christ, my Lord and my Savior. So let's see if anything comes up. If nothing comes up, then what's biblical films? Okay, I think that would be cool. That's something that we can work with, biblical films. And then what I like to do is I like to copy it, and then I like to rename it according to the interest. So this way I know exactly what this interest is. Sorry, what this ad set is just from looking at the name. And then one more. Now, of course, you can have as many interests as you want, but just for the sake of time and yeah, just to keep things simple, I don't want to overcomplicate it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in one more interest. So let me come over here, let me put in the word Bible, which is the most obvious interest to target. And then let's see what comes up. So not the Lad Bible, that's the wrong one. Because that has nothing to do with Christianity. So let's just put Christian. And then let's see what comes up. That's definitely not what I want. So let me just type in Jesus Christ, and then let's see what comes up. And then let's see. My apologies that my computer is a bit slow, but what I'm going to do is I'm gonna put in biblical films. So by doing this, it's going to allow me to see all the relevant ones. So pastor's a title, worship, Israel. We could do spirituality, um, theology, Christ Church. Choir would be a good one. Master Divinity. So I think the other one I would do is choir. And then what I will do moving forward is if I'm looking for even more interest, then I'll come over here to browse. Then I'll come over here to browse, and then yeah. And then of course I'll pick the ones that is actually relevant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to rename this as choir. And then done. So now that that's done, so this is exactly how I set up a campaign for all of my e-commerce clients. As you can see, we specifically focus on sales. We focus on a ad set budget optimization. And then I like to do a broad audience. I like to do lookalike audiences, and I like to do interest audiences. Now, of course, we will definitely do retargeting audiences as well. I think that's definitely important. So, if I'm going to add a retargeting audience just for the sake of this video, or should I do it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to do retargeting in a separate video, again, just to save time. I don't want this to go on for too long. But I hope this has been beneficial. Because what I'll do is I'll create a separate campaign specifically for the retargeting, just to keep things organized. So the cold audiences are here, and then the retargeting audiences are separate. Now I'm going to ask the client what is their advertising budget, so I know how much money I have to spend. I think it might be like $50 to $100 a day. We'll see. But other than that, that's basically it for this video. Hope it's been beneficial. Hope it's been helpful. And let me know the success that you're having with your campaigns. And if you have any questions, then drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.